So I'm seeing a connection between an error musicians are making and business owners. Musicians have a tendency to put so much time working on the instrument and on the music that they're focused on what they're going to do on stage. And then they forget about the fact that once they're off of stage, there's sort of a bridge to on stage, off of stage that gets you more work. In other words, if you're only focused on the music on stage and then you're waiting for the phone to ring after, you're really doing yourself a disservice and you're missing a key ingredient. Business owners are doing the same thing. They're focusing on the speech, on making the speech hit every potentially perceived pain point of their audience, and making sure they address them and making sure they create an emotional engagement to their audience. That is super important, yet at the same time, it's not a complete package for an efficient return. If you're only focused on the perceived pain points of your audience and creating an emotional response, you're not acknowledging the fact that that emotional response is temporary. It's only while you're on stage talking to them that they feel that. The next day, when that dies down and they forget about that feeling, they're not going to call you. You're not going to get follow-ups. So when you go on stage, whether a musician or a business owner, you want to have a system in place that bridges the gap between you on stage and you off of stage. If you're a business person, know who's in the room. Get their emails. Make sure that you're doing something that bridges to a follow-up. Give them an incentive to follow up. Have a raffle. Offer them free coaching. Offer them something to make them return. You need to be able to continue the conversation. Same thing is true with musicians. It's not just about the music. It's about being able to get another gig. So if you leave the stage as a musician and you just go home and you hope the club owner calls you versus saying, hey, at the end of the night, how'd you like tonight? You know what? I think it went really well. How were your numbers tonight? How did the client respond? Oh, the client was really happy. Wonderful. You know what? Anything we can ever do for you, let us know. We're here. Building that relationship with who's responsible for the return is super important. So if you're a musician, realize that your responsibilities aren't just on stage, they're off stage to bridge to being back on stage. If you're a business owner, realize that your only goal is not to create a wonderful speech that creates an emotional motivation in your audience at that moment. You want to be able to capitalize on that and make sure that when they're off of stage that there's something tangible to bridge that gap. Think about it. See what you can come up with. There's more to it than you think.